It's the Christmas episode of the ENN podcast, and I'm going to review my top 5 Christmas movies of all time. I guarantee you there's a couple in there that might not be on yours. All that and more coming up next.
The following announcement has been paid for by
The ENN podcast.
He has a good energy, you guys.
Can you believe it? Can
Sports.
you feel it? Can you feel that excitement? The merchandise, wearing the hats.
Chris Wild here live from Lincoln Financial.
And I'm telling you, if you let Eli Manning walk into that stadium,
Music.
Wow.
man, again, and I hate to do this again, but these are goosebumps.
Whoa!
And more.
What's his next book gonna be called? Spineless?
Welcome, everybody, to the Christmas episode of the ENN podcast. I'm professional wrestler Chris Wild, live from bar 4133, and it is that time of the year again. It is the holidays. Christmas and a new year are right around the corner, and I gotta be honest, it's one of my favorite times of the year. Now, if you know me, you know I love the beach and bikini of summertime, the leaves falling, that crisp hoodie weather, and the start of football season that fall brings. But there's something about Christmas. It's just in the air. The holiday season is just something that has always been special to me and something I've always loved. Everything about it, the music, the food, the spirit of Christmas, making people happy. It's just something that has always attracted me, and it attracts everyone the world over. Now, I understand that, look, Christmas can be stressful, right? I mean, look, it's not supposed to be the spirit of Christmas, the meaning of Christmas is not supposed to be, or just the meaning of holidays, for that matter. It's not supposed to be about money or things that are commercial or material things, but unfortunately we live in a society where that's kind of what it's geared to. So around this time, money issues and stress are a huge thing. I mean, getting people the gifts that they want and the gifts that you can afford sometimes aren't the same thing. But and I've been there, and I know that we've all been there. But the one thing that always gets me in the Christmas mood or the Christmas spirit are movies. Movies, special TV shows, music. It's entertainment that brings me around to the Christmas spirit. And it's entertainment that has since I've been a little kid. And I'm sure a lot of you watching can agree with me on that. Now, I've seen a bunch of lists about the top Christmas movies, the top holiday movies of all time. And I thought, why not give mine? I'm going to give you my top 5, the ENN top 5 Christmas movies. I'm not going to make this a long, drawn-out thing. I'm not going to go into a super review of each movie, but just give you my list and the reasoning. And again, this is going to be different, and there's probably going to be argument here about my list compared to others, but it's my list. If you don't like it, there's a red X, it might be a black X, I don't know, that you can click, and you can click out of this. But if you like it and you enjoy it and you have not been a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Every little bit counts, and I appreciate all of you that are already subscribers, and I hope you enjoy this video. With that being said, I got the Christmas stuff on, I got the hat, I've got the shirt. Let's get into this list. And first I want to start off with the number 5 movie for me, Christmas movie of all time. It stars Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, and it is Santa with Muscles. No, absolutely not. Santa with Muscles does not even make the honorable mentions of this list. Inside joke for those of you, because I'm a wrestler. Number 5, without a doubt, and we're going to start this off with a hot take, and we're going to start this off with a possible argument if you're watching. Number 5 for me, without a doubt, is Gremlins. That's right, Gremlins. Now you're thinking, how the hell is Gremlins a holiday Christmas movie? Well, Gremlins, of course, comes out in 1984, Steven Spielberg film, made tons of money, and basically what it's about is it's about a Christmas present gone horribly wrong, as a father goes to get a special present for his son, which ends up being something called a Mogwai. I still don't know if it's an alien or where it came from, but it's this little cute creature called Gizmo, and it's alive. It's a pet that he gets his son. Now, there are 3 rules for this pet, and they're very important rules, and it's never, ever get it wet. Don't feed it after midnight, and don't put it in direct light. So if you do those things, there will be consequences. Now, the father doesn't even ask what the consequences are, which is insane to me. But of course, this is a movie, and if nothing went wrong, the movie would end after the opening credits or after he gets Gizmo. And of course, Gizmo gets fed, he multiplies into these little fur balls, and of course they get wet and they turn into these monsters. It was absolutely horrifying for me as a child when I eventually saw the movie, because I was just a baby in 1984. When I eventually saw Gremlins, it was an absolute horror movie. I mean, these things were absolutely terrifying. But as you get older, you can kind of sympathize with everything going on. And I realized that it's a movie that I watch every Christmas. And why is it a Christmas movie? It's based on Christmas Eve. These things terrorize the city on Christmas Eve. There's Christmas music. There's snow. There's colors. I think when the gremlins start glowing, when they start manifesting, it glows red and green, if I remember correctly. It's absolutely a Christmas movie, and it's something that I remember and I watch every Christmas. Gremlins at number 5. Now, before I go to number 4, I want to give an honorable mention, and this is a movie that I kind of forgot about, and which is why it's an honorable mention for me. I don't watch it every Christmas, but I think it's a hell of a Christmas movie, and saying this actor's name in a hell of a movie doesn't happen often, but Nicolas Cage in The Family Man, awesome Christmas movie. Meg Ryan is also in it as well, and it's basically about a guy that's rich and is alone around the Christmas time. He wakes up one morning after an encounter with an angel, and has a family with an ex-girlfriend that he, I guess, secretly still wanted or whatever. Anyway, awesome movie, but just didn't make my top 5. So let's go to number 4. And number 4 to me is, again, I never thought I'd be doing a podcast and saying the name Tim Allen in it, but Tim Allen is part of number 4 as the Santa Claus. Is also another movie that I love to watch during the Christmas time, and this is about Tim Allen being a divorced father that kills Santa. Now, I'm not going to go in specifics here, but he kills Santa Claus, and because he kills Santa Claus, he now has to become Santa Claus, and in the movie, he becomes my worst nightmare. He starts growing a shitload of facial hair, he starts getting real fat, hair starts getting white, and he ends up becoming Santa Claus, going to the North Pole, and then his son has to find out later. And it's just one of those movies that's just a Christmas movie that you think about during Christmas, or at least I think about during Christmas. It sucks. I always thought it sucked for him to get in that kind of shape, but it is a funny thing to watch. So yes, the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Number 4 here on the ENN podcast. Number 3 is, again, one of these movies that a lot of people have debated, they have argued about. There's two sides of people. There's the ones that think it is, and there are ones that think it isn't, or the ones that are wrong, I should say. Number 3 is Die Hard. Die Hard is, not only is it the best action movie, or one of the best action movies of its time, but it is definitely one of the best Christmas movies of all time, starring Bruce Willis, who I heard is kind of a jerk. It comes out in 1988. Again, I'm still a little kid when this happened, when this movie comes out, but growing up, I was able to watch it, and all these sequels that followed. Number 1 is always the best, and it will be. And why is this a Christmas movie? Let's get this out of the way real quick. First off, again, it's set at Christmas time in New York, and a bunch of terrorists take over a Christmas party. That's right, they take over a Christmas party that Bruce Willis' wife is part of, a Christmas office party, and the whole plot of this movie is Bruce Willis is trying to save Christmas so he can spend it with his wife. That's the plot of the movie, and that's why it's a Christmas movie. Bruce Willis gets the shit kicked out of him all throughout this movie, and again, can't be killed. It's impossible to die, and it ends up being a happy Christmas movie. And again, throughout, if you haven't noticed, a bunch of spoilers in this thing. If you haven't seen these movies, I don't know what to tell you, but these, again, movies you should all have watched already through Christmas time, as nothing is brand new. Die Hard comes in at number 3 with Bruce Willis. Yes, 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 it's a Christmas movie. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. All right, after number 3, we're going to go back into a little honorable mention, and that's Bad Santa. Again, another movie that I don't watch all the time during the holidays, but if it's on, I definitely will. And it's one of those movies that you want to watch when the kids are asleep. It's that kind of movie. Bad Santa, honorable mention. Let's go ahead and get to number 2 as we are coming down to the last 2 movies here on the ENM podcast for my top 5 Christmas movies of all time. Number 2 and number 1 are so close to me. It was almost impossible to choose between the two. But number 2 is Elf. Elf, one of the most legendary to me Christmas movies and funniest. It's definitely the funniest Christmas movie ever, right? Will Ferrell is an absolute gem to comedy. He's absolutely one of the best comics of all time. Everything he's in seems to be funny, and this is no exception. And the basic plot around this is it's a human baby that grows up at the North Pole with the elves, gets raised as an elf, but he's a giant human being now with these elves. And as he's gotten bigger, it's been a little bit harder to hide that he's a human and not an elf. You can imagine the hilarity that goes with that. He kind of gets kicked out of the North Pole, has to go find his real father, who obviously does not want anything to do with him. And his real father is James Caan, for those Godfather fans. Who plays an awesome role in this movie, also starring Zooey Deschanel. And it's just, again, a funny, hilarious movie with a great ending, a great plot. Not only does Will Ferrell have to win over his dad and his new family, but he also falls in love and says one of the greatest lines that I still say whenever I'm in the mall and I see Santa, or the imposter Santa, sitting down, taking pictures with kids, and that's, "Hey, that's Santa, I know him." Awesome stuff, guys. Elf, definitely. I don't know a person that hasn't seen this movie, but if you haven't, stop this video right now and go watch Elf. Absolutely awesome. Also introduced me to one of my favorite cheat meals, and that's spaghetti with syrup and candy. But before we go on to number 1, let's just kind of recap here what we had going on. Number 5 was Gremlins. Number 4, we talked about The Santa Claus. Number 3, Die Hard. And number 2, the instant classic known as Elf. Now, number 1 can only be one movie. And I just want to tell you, and I should probably said this in the beginning, I've kind of eliminated all of the, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, the Peanuts Christmas movie, things that were ancient to me, that are good movies, don't get me wrong, like It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th, like all those ones, they're eliminated, they're not in the list, so if you're trying to guess, they're not number 1. What number 1? The number 1 movie for me is, and I'm wearing it right here, Home Alone. Home Alone to me is the number 1 Christmas movie. It is probably the first Christmas movie I always watch every Christmas. And the whole thing, again, the plot is so messed up. The plot is horrible. But there's just, again, watching this as a child and then as an adult, it's timeless and it really stands up. It's about a kid that, and as a father, I can't even imagine how they let this happen. Macaulay Culkin stars as Kevin McAllister, a kid that was left behind as their family goes to Paris for Christmas vacation. He's left home alone. Now, kids, this is a time when there were no smartphones, there was no internet, because if there was, then the movie would probably end within 20 minutes, right? He gets on the smartphone, lets them know they come back, or they send an Uber for him, or whatever. But that doesn't happen. Instead, he's left in this big mansion, and you got to wonder what his father does for a living, because somehow his father paid for 9 people to go to Paris and has a huge mansion, it feels like, that Kevin now has to stay in. And then robbers have been staking out this house the entire time, those robbers being Joe Pesci being one of them, as they are the Wet Bandits. And basically Kevin McAllister has to find out how to stop his house from being robbed, a bunch of clever ways that he does this, and the whole movie is just it's just a great Christmas movie. Again, horrible parenting. Not only did they do this once, but they do it in Home Alone 2 as well, when he gets left at the airport and ends up in New York while I think they're in Paris again. I could be wrong with that, but again, it's just a good Christmas movie. And again, they all have good messages. Macaulay Culkin, of course, in that movie kind of was annoyed by his family, wished that they would just disappear. Of course they do. Then he realizes he wants his family for Christmas, and it tells a good story. It's a great movie. And again, as a kid, it's everything you wanted as a kid. You kind of wanted to be left home alone with your dad's credit card, to be able to eat all the junk that you wanted to, and the pizza and the candy and whatever, buy all the toys that you wanted to. And then who wouldn't mind kicking some robbers' asses the way Kevin McAllister did? Again, awesome movie, and one of my favorites. Actually, it's number 1, so it is my favorite of all time is Home Alone. That comes in at number 1. Guys, look, I told you this wasn't going to be long and drawn out. It's been a little bit more long and drawn out than I wanted it to be, but that's it. Those are my top 5 Christmas movies of all time. And if you have a debate, if you want to argue it with me, or you have your own list, please leave those in the comments. And look, who knows, I might discuss them with a certain somebody during a live stream. Who knows, as anything can happen here at the ENN podcast. With that being said, I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas. Stay tuned for more content in the sports and entertainment world. And I might do my top favorite Christmas TV shows of all time. That might be coming up as well. Who knows? We'll see how this one goes. With that being said, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, go Birds, and I'll see you later.